Welcome to Scrolling to Death. Today, we're going to get to know a beautiful, kind, and loving girl named London Gadd. We tragically lost London just last year at age 12. Today, I have London's mom, Charay, with me to tell her story. This is obviously a sensitive discussion where we talk about self-harm and suicide, so please listen with care. But please listen. This story could be anybody's story. And you'll find that the bad guy in this story is social media and the deadly influence that it had on London. Let's get into the episode. Charay, thank you so much for being here today. I have had the opportunity to meet you in person, to get to know your daughters. Your family has been through the literal worst thing that a parent and a family could experience. And before we jump in, I just want to tell you how strong you are in being open to sharing your story and educating other parents on what's happening to children. And this is really an honor to London's life. And through this story, we're going to be able to save other children. And so I just wanted to start by saying thank you for doing this, Charay.
Thank you. Thank you for doing all this.
You're welcome, Charay. How could I not? You guys all have the strength to tell your story over and over and again in order to influence change. And I'm just here to help amplify it and get to know the kids. And that's what we're going to first do, is get to know little London. And you've shared lots of pictures with me, which I will put over the screen so people can see London. Can you tell us about her? Where did she grow up? What did she love to do? Really anything you want to share.
She was beautiful inside it all. She was so sweet. I used to always tell her, don't let anybody ruin your sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
She loved her comfy clothes. It was crazy. She loved her comfy clothes. But she also loved summer, so it was kind of a contradiction. She loved music. She was always singing, dancing in the kitchen. She really loved the song Saturn by SZA. She loved soccer. She played year-round. We would even do soccer in the sand in the summer, and she loved to read. Most days I couldn't even get her to put a book down. She did very well academically. Her teachers all loved her. She had lots of friends. Back to her, she was so sweet. She could tell even when I was having a bad day, she would always come up to me and hug me and say, "I love you, Mom." After she got out of the hospital the first time, I redid her bedroom, and she was helping paint, and she helped put her new bed together. She had the screwdrivers out and everything, and I remember teaching her how to sew and sew buttons and to cook. When we go up north, my husband started teaching her how to cook on the campfire, and so I have video of her cooking steaks. When we were up to our property, I had put her one of those hammock seats underneath our deck, right on the water, so she could look out on the bay and sit there and read her books. And she was such a goofball. I have a video. She was running across the beach, and it was 4th of July weekend, and she had some of that red, white, and blue hair that glows, lights up, and she starts running like Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean across the beach, and it was hilarious.
So cute.
It was hilarious. She just always was kidding around, making her silly faces, and her and I would make half the heart symbol in the air, and she would make the other half, kind of like we completed each other.
Thank you for sharing about London. She sounds so lighthearted and happy and sweet and smart. And, she was born in 2012, right?
Correct.
So 2020 comes and COVID comes and she's 8. How was that transition for her? Because you said she loved learning and reading and being at school. And I know that year was tough for everyone, but How was it for her?
Like, it was fun at first because it's something new and we don't have to go to school, and
Yep.
but then she started having trouble, like, concentrating and doing the screen, learning, and she was given a phone, and I kept it out of the house as long as I could, but that's a battle that you pick your battles of what you're gonna argue with your kids about, and, when they're already having a hard time with everything and emotionally, and, with all of our surroundings, and our community was all split, and school was taken away and the friends, and, it'd start sneaking in her backpack and, getting taken to school without my permission. Um, so then it
Mhm.
started getting brought into our home, and
To be clear, you were divorced from her dad, and so I just wanna be clear with parents that there was, like, different rules and different standards happening in the different households, if that's okay to share.
yes.
Okay. And so it's 2020, she's 8, she has a phone, and she gets on some social media sites like Snapchat and TikTok. Did you know that she was on there? A lot of people thought that TikTok was just funny dance videos and Snapchat is just messaging friends. Like, did you know, and what was your impression of those sites?
I wasn't aware of the Snapchat. The TikTok I was, and
Mhm.
I thought it was harmless. I mean, she loved to sing and she loved to dance, and so I thought she was just doing, sing-alongs and copycats and just the fun, filters and creating and
Mhm.
sharing videos with her friends and interacting with her friends, and I thought it was harmless. I mean, most
Yeah.
parents do, and it's not. It's definitely not.
Yeah, and we can get into kind of what you've learned about TikTok and her account.
I would ask her to get off, um, and she'd get off, and it was almost like she was within minutes sneaking back on, and it was just this constant argument because of the apparent addiction, and
Mhm.
it just continued, and, I became the bad guy because I wanted to spend time with her, and I wanted her to be a kid. I didn't want her spending all this time on there. I took the phone at night. I thought I was doing what every parent should be doing and checking things, and then I discovered she was on Snapchat. It was opened with, her father's email. She actually started having trouble with friends, like the red and green, being left on red because somebody didn't read your message, or they read it and didn't answer. I'm not sure how it works because I don't really use it,
Mhm.
but it just started affecting her. There was times where she was like, "Mom," she'd be in tears and she'd be like, "I have to delete this," and she would delete Snapchat because it was hurting her so much, like, emotionally, like, seeing her friends doing things that she wasn't invited to, or somebody's posting a video about their best friend, and she thought she was their best friend. It was so many different harms to her emotions, like,
It feels like that's what Snapchat was built for. I mean, just all of the different functions that make you feel bad about yourself.
well,
And
another thing I don't agree with is that they're actually teaching our children at a vulnerable age that they're learning that stuff deletes and you can hide it. That is awful. That is terrible. I mean, you're setting up people for failures, for, continuing lying because they think that, well, nobody's gonna find out,
yeah,
or, there's other avenues of their life that they're gonna start utilizing that in, like, you know, affairs, or I've always thought it's just terrible to teach our children this.
I totally agree. And so London even realized, sounds like, that this doesn't make me feel good, like this Snapchat specifically, and she would delete it, but would that last very long?
No, because I know at least 3 times that she had told me that she had deleted it, so she had re-added it. one time she said it was because her best friend told her that she wanted to do streaks with her or something. She wanted to have these large streaks, and it was so important, and I'm like, "London, that stuff doesn't really matter in real life. This is just Snapchat. This
Real.
isn't real." Yeah.
Yeah. And for parents that don't know, Snapstreak is like a score that you have. You get a point basically for every day you snap or message back and forth with another person on Snapchat. So, I mean, there's kids with like thousands, like snap streaks in the thousands, which means they've snapped someone every day for years.
Yeah.
That's how you make something addictive. Like, there it is.
And they're establishing that this is the importance in our children, like, this isn't important. It's not important.
And you tried to restrict her use, you took it away at night, you didn't have obviously not have control at her dad's house, which is a lot of people's situation. At what point did you notice there was some, like, depression or thoughts of, like, maybe even self-harm? When did that happen?
I had got on her TikTok feed and seen that she was visually seeing, bulimia, like, kids that
Oh,
were
wow.
teaching bulimia and being bulimic and eating disorders, and I was like, "London, why are you seeing this?" She's like, "Well, I don't know, it just was being sent to me," and I'm like, London was thin as a rail, like, she shouldn't have these insecurities. She started isolating herself in her room. She would tell me that she didn't like how she was feeling, like, she recognized these feelings.
So you saw kind of a decrease in her mental health state aligning with her increased use of social media.
Correct, yes, very much so.
And you even saw the feeds pushing her content like promoting eating disorders.
Correct, yes. I'd put timers on her phone. I'd actually used one, I believe it's called, Custodio.
Hmm. Yeah.
It was deleted, and then I even did Bark, their app, which
Mhm.
it was a great app, but at the time, it was deleted. Um, it was like I was losing the battle that I was trying to
Mhm.
accomplish to get my daughter back, basically, the addiction just grew this wedge between us, and it was awful, just awful.
Yeah. And I mean, years that seems to have gone on because it was early 2023 that London was hospitalized for the first time. Can you tell me about that experience?
Well, I wanted to spend time with her, and she, wanted some friends to come over, and I said, "Maybe next weekend or another evening," and she got upset with me, and there was things on her phone that were bothering her again, and, it was friends doing things without her. I can't recall if it was TikTok or Snapchat, what platform it was, and she basically told me that she wanted to stab herself in the stomach, and I don't even know where that thought would have even came from.
Because she was 11.
Yes, she had just turned 11, it was March of 2023. Her and I remember us sitting on the couch, and she just told me that she didn't like how she was feeling, and, I was like, "Should we go to the hospital?" And then she's like, "If they can help me, I wanna go," and because this is all new to me as a parent, I didn't know what to
Oh.
do. The first thought is, like, I guess the hospital, and then hopefully they'll guide us in what we need to do. W Her and I discussed it, and she kept on saying, "Please, mom, I wanna go if they're gonna help me," and so and we went to the, local ER. They basically evaluated her, and I mean, I was in tears pretty much the whole time. I mean, it's awful to show your child that this stuff is getting to you, but I couldn't even hold my composure anymore. Like, I'm like, "What is happening? This is not my child."
Yeah.
Um, and then the ER doctor basically talked to me about putting her in inpatient. And mind you, like we said, she was only 11, and so she was very scared. She didn't wanna be away from me. I
Okay.
mean, she's still a baby.
Yeah.
So, the doctor and I had discussed it, and, he felt safe leaving her letting her leave in my care, and so we went home, and things seemed to get better. I put her on some vitamins, and she kept telling me that she actually felt like she craved them because they were helping
Mm.
her. And then in October, it just took a turn for the worst. So I get a call from the school, and I rush up to the school because they were worried about self-harm with London. So I was very panicked. I walk into the school, and they take me into the counselor's office, and London and her dad are sitting there, and she had wrote on a note that she would be better off dead, and she dropped it in the hallway of the school. Well, they had to go through the surveillance cameras and figure out who dropped it, and they had discovered it was London. So we had discussed all this, and the counselor had suggested an inpatient. So at this point, after not doing it in March, I was like, we have to do something. At this point, as well, the correlation, she was getting worse with the phone, and it just was more and more of a fight. And then we found a Christian-based facility in Grand Rapids. So we had taken her there that evening, and they did their evaluation, and they admitted her. She stayed there a week. She kept telling me, oddly enough, that she really liked it, but she did, did also share that she wanted to come home. I mean, it's not like she wanted to stay there. So she came home, and things seemed like she was doing well again. And now I look back, and some of it, I really, knowing what I know now, I think was the time off the phone. I'm not naive enough to not realize that kids shouldn't be on phones, but when you're dealing with COVID and depression, and it's just something that you don't wanna keep adding the argument. You wanna have a bond with your child, and
That's right. And so many parents tell me that is it's really just affecting in a real way their relationship, trying to manage and limit and restrict. And I even have parents who tell me who've lost their children who say do not take their phone away because they could literally get more suicidal or suicidal without that addictive device.
we had a neurologist actually at MSU tell us that not to take their phones, my oldest daughter and London's, because they had a 6-year-old end her life, and he just I mean, I could see the desperation for me to understand just in his eyes through the mask because he was still this was when he was wearing it was during COVID, so he's wearing a mask. I'm not even half of his facial features, and I could just see it in his eyes. It was like this pleading cry to get me to understand to not take their phone. And when that gets embedded in you,
And that's a neurologist telling you this who studies, the brain and the depths that the kid can feel or the down feeling from it being taken away. He said a 6-year-old
a
took their
6-year-old.
life. I've never heard of such a thing. So, can we talk about in early 2024, you learned about lawsuits that were being brought by families for social media addiction. And this sounded familiar to you, sounded like something you may want to get involved in. So, can you tell me what you did from there?
In April of 2024, I contacted a firm that was addressing social media harms, and so they did some intake with us and felt like, London had a case. I had to fill out a questionnaire. She filled out a questionnaire. We submitted that, and I never heard from them again until
You never heard from that firm again at all, or until
no, it was
never
too
again?
late. It was too late. Um, I heard from them after I had talked with the social media law victims law firm after.
Wow. Okay. So, to be clear, the Social Media Victims Law Center is the trustworthy source for these types of cases that I'm aware of. And you agree?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And the one that did not reply to you is not SMBLC.
Correct.
I think we have a little snippet from, or a little screenshot from London, and she filled out some of these forms too. And she wrote, that social media is all I think about, was what stood out to me.
That's correct.
So that was April 2024, and things got worse and worse. And can you tell me about what happened at the end of July of that year when London was 12?
Well, at the beginning of July 2024, she had came to me again, not liking how she was feeling. And it was before 4th of July weekend, and I had contacted the inpatient facility that she was in before to
Mm.
see what their thoughts were and if they had bed availability. When I spoke with the intake over the phone, she had agreed with me that maybe it'd be good to let London go up north to our property for the weekend, have a reset, have some time with family. Maybe it would help her. So we did that. She had a great weekend. And on Monday, she was on her way home. She was riding with her sister and she started texting me and saying, "Mom, I want to go back." And I was like, "Okay, we'll do whatever you want to do."
Mhm.
And so we waited for her to get home. We took her back to the facility in Grand Rapids. They admitted her. And by the next morning, the psychiatrist was calling me and explaining his findings. And it didn't go so well for her. This time, she told me she didn't really like being there. And she was there about 8 days. She seemed better when she came home. The end of July, my husband and I were getting married. And we had that going on, so she, enjoyed herself so much. She was dancing and singing and playing with the kids and just having a great time at our wedding and reception, and I thought everything seemed like it was good. Um, Later, I found out on July 30th, she was upset because she found out on one of her social media platforms that her best friend was starting to date a boy she liked,
Mhm.
and it really affected her. I learned after that evening at 1:30 in the morning, she was at her dad's, and she had texted her counselor asking for help. 18 hours later, she was home, and I had been unpacking totes and things out of the trailer from our wedding, and I was the type of mom that
Mhm.
every time I walked up and down our hallway, I'd peek in. I had gotten
Yeah.
some funny glasses from Temu, so I was putting them
Mm.
on, and I was peeking in at the girls and making faces at them.
Yeah.
I had just got London a couple shirts, one that was yellow, which was her favorite color, bright, and it said
Mm.
"smile" across it with a big smiley face, and then there was a sweatshirt that says "You're enough," and she put the shirt on. Later that evening, we were getting ready for bed, and she was laying on her bedroom floor, and I was like, "Honey, do you want a pillow? I mean, do you wanna get in your bed? You look uncomfortable." She's like kept saying, "No, I'm fine." And I'm like, "Well, at least take a pillow, you know?" So I handed her a pillow and a blanket, and then all of a sudden she started screaming that her stomach hurt. And
Mm.
I don't know what came over me, but I instantly knew something was wrong. And I was like, "What did you do? London, what did you do?" And she proceeded to tell me that she took a bunch of pills, and I was like, "Where are they?" And she told me they were in her backpack. And I found out later that she'd taken them the night before to her dad's and was gonna take them, and she didn't. So, I grabbed the pills and I'm telling her, "We gotta go. We gotta get to the hospital. Like, we have to get your stomach pumped." I was grabbing a bag to put the pills in, the bottle, and she stood at the end of the hallway. At this point, I knew this wasn't London. She was so empty and no tears, and she just screamed, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it."
She didn't know what she was doing. Like, it wasn't real to her.
Correct. Like,
Yeah.
I feel later, I thought, I really think, and everybody in my family that knew London feels that she didn't want this. She didn't understand the consequences.
Mhm.
You know, she didn't think she was gonna die. She thought, "I'm gonna have my stomach pumped and I'm gonna be okay." Kids think that they're gonna be okay, and most of the time, you're not. And kids gotta take this seriously. Life's not a video game. Like, we don't have multiple chances in lives, and this is real. This is real, and this happened to London, and it happens to so many kids. After she had yelled that she was sorry, she didn't mean it, she collapsed, and my husband caught her, and we were walking out to the vehicle to get in the car, and she puked up 70 to 80% of these pills. Um,
Wow.
she got in the car, and mind you, I was driving the fastest I have ever drove a vehicle, and I went to the closest hospital because time is sensitive. And all the way there, she kept telling us that she didn't wanna hurt herself. She's like, "I wasn't trying to hurt myself. I just was trying to hurt." That's what she kept saying. "I just wanted to hurt." She's like, "I didn't wanna hurt myself." She's like, "I just wanted to hurt," which, where does a 12-year-old learn this? Like, I don't understand. And she kept calling her best friend by name and saying, "I seen her with this boy on one of the platforms." I can't recall which one it was at the time. It was Snapchat or TikTok, that she was starting to date the boy she liked, and she actually was kept conversating with her through Snapchat, and she actually had told her friend that she was gonna take these pills. I found out a few of her friends, besides her counselor, knew about this, and nobody reached out to us and told us, and some of them were more than 24 hours prior to this happening. So these social media platforms, she admitted that she was gonna do this, and nobody reacted. And
Mhm.
then I find out later that she had a goodbye video right before, but I really, truly know in my heart that she did not want this. She just was trying to get attention from her friends or something, and this
Mhm.
became too real, too real.
What I've seen again and again with especially the TikTok algorithm and even the Snapchat algorithm, actually, most recently for my test account, it will start serving the young girls and boys like a steady stream of depression and suicide and self-harm content that like glorifies it, um, normalizes it. And so a child like London thinks that's something I could do. It could make me feel better because the videos being pushed to her in the algorithm are telling her that.
Yeah, and we found out later, thanks to the social media victims law center that Laura had forensics go into her accounts. They found all this self-harm stuff being sent to her when she was searching benign subjects. I was just unaware that this was possible. I mean, this is evil. This is pure evil. I mean, what good is that doing anybody to even have it on there, let alone pushing it on kids or anyone? Even adults can't handle this. And you have a 12-year-old child that is being fed this, then they start to question because they're having a bad day even, and then it's like I feel like it just embeds this depression in their head, like, oh, maybe I am depressed because I had a bad day. It's not just a normal bad day. And we all have normal bad days.
Yeah, a 12-year-old liking a boy and having that boy like someone else is a normal 12-year-old experience. The only difference today is that social media is putting a magnifying glass in front of it so they can see it at all hours and all times when kids shouldn't even know that that's happening. But also then when your daughter is searching things like alligator skin boots, the results on TikTok are depression and suicide content, kind of feeding off of her having a bad day by serving her what I there's no explanation in the world. You're right, like why that content should exist, but especially we really need to understand that these companies are pushing it to young children, to everybody, but especially young children who don't understand the gravity of what they're seeing.
Yeah, there's no justification for it. I don't care what excuses there is. Nothing justifies that.
So you found out that London had been seeing a lot of this type of content. And then you also found out that London had been posting photos and videos kind of expressing suicidal thoughts, and that TikTok didn't flag it, didn't offer her support.
No, especially with what I've been taught that AI does, the censoring of things that they don't want on there, but they're not using this AI technology and censoring to red flag harmful content. And,
Mhm.
and then I found out that she had multiple accounts on Snapchat and TikTok. And then I found out later, which I was unaware of all of that. I thought there was only one of each. And I thought you had to have more emails and all this stuff. I found out she had made up false emails. Then I found out her father had got on her account after this had happened and that she actually had me blocked because I was checking this stuff. She knew I was checking this stuff. So I don't think this should be allowed. This is something that this is my child. I should be able to watch and see what they're doing. You shouldn't allow them to block a parent. I could have been a lot more, reactive, I guess, to what was going on if I would have seen what I'm seeing now.
For sure. And also, if the companies enforce their own policies that you have to be 13, London wasn't 13. London was signing up at 8 using whatever birthday she could think up that was old enough. Some of the companies say they now use AI to re-age and remove underage users. I don't know how well who knows if they're actually doing that.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I know people that
Um,
still have active accounts and their young kids are younger, but
yeah, right. And we're talking about like some of the posts I've seen from London, like her sweet face, looking sad and saying with the text over it saying, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow." That is, it's not like tricking the algorithm. Like if you have tech that can identify suicidal thoughts and intention, that's it. Like what else do we need to be giving you to flag it and provide her with some help?
it's because our children are becoming products.
For sure. The companies just see dollar signs and they just want the kids on there as long as possible. They don't care what they're seeing. And
Yeah.
Not what they say, but that's what they're doing.
I just recently
Is there
learned that 7 of the tech companies are 40% of our S&P 500. 40%. And they spent $20 million lobbying against bills that you and I have been trying to get passed. Why spend so much money on a child under 18? Most of them have no income. So what is the hidden agenda here? There is a hidden agenda, and it's addiction.
mm-hmm. More time they spend, the more ads they can serve. And that's how they make their money. And
Mhm.
that's not in line with a healthy childhood. And that's why it's so important for stories like this to be heard by everyone so that we can not just try to restrict, because like you showed in this story so far, like it's really hard to try to keep your kids off of there. But we need to all be calling our lawmakers and having them help us. We need to be petitioning and protesting at these companies and yelling at them like to get them to do better, because this is the most unjust business practice I've heard since like marketing cigarettes to children. And it's honestly probably worse.
Like Senator Blackburn said, they're killing our children.
And they know it.
Yep.
You are taking legal action now, and you've joined a lawsuit with more than 1,000 other families. Can you tell me why this was so important to you?
Well, I want justice for London and for all of these other children and parents.
Mhm.
I want laws to be changed. I want safer platforms for our children. I want people to realize how bad it really is, because I didn't realize it. We need to buy our kids phones with no internet, like the Bark phones. Um, get back to landlines.
It's because of you and sharing your story. Like, families will now change their mind about giving us a smartphone with fully loaded with all the things. And plug here that Apple's parental controls are not good. So you're not going to be able to keep your kids safe on that phone. So you're right. Like, it starts with it's important what devices we give our children, what we talk to them about, but also the bigger story of passing laws to get us some help, filing lawsuits to get us some help and set a precedent that these things are harmful for our children. So many families, when this case goes to trial in front of a jury in end of January, parents everywhere are going to see these CEOs stumble and fumble over their answers because there's no fact other than that they knew that their products harm kids and they pushed forward anyways. And we're going to see that have to come out in trial in front of the world. And there's nothing that these CEOs can say to make that untrue. And so this is going to change history, just this trial. And you are one important piece of that. And it's going to set a precedent that these companies can't do this anymore. So this is like we're almost there, and it's just devastating that we even got to here, that we had to lose kids like London to get to here.
London's story, as do many others, need to be told, so these tragedies, it prevents similar tragedies from happening. This shouldn't have happened. This wasn't my daughter. It's like she was brainwashed.
It's like social media stole London from you.
Yes, very much so. Just don't give them social media. Don't let them on social media. You might think it's harmless like I did, but you don't want to be sitting here telling your child's story. You change as a person. You feel so empty. It's not worth it. I wish I would have just taken it from her. But when you're told by so many not to, and counselors and a neurologist, and it's not good. It's not good in any way. It serves no purpose. It's robbing our children of their childhood. Our kids need to be back, get back to being kids. They need to be kids again.
Yeah. Even if they're left out, even if they're the only one not on there, I'm willing to deal with that if it is my child, because then they're going to be left out of all the drama, all the predation, all the drug content, all the suicide content. I'd rather have them be left out of all of that and left out of that group. But what's important is like this worldwide parent movement of parents standing up and taking the power back and all making safer choices together so that our kids are not left out. London's story matters, and London's story will help empower parents to make safer choices and to push back against these companies.
We are giving a senior every year a scholarship in London's memory. The criteria for it is that you just need to play a couple sports a year. We just did a 2.5 grade point average because there's a lot of good kids out there that don't get good grades, and they deserve a chance as well. We have them write an essay of how they're going to make a difference in the world. This year's essay was a tearjerker. I was more than proud to give it to her. Gifted her with $500 to start her career. Our way of keeping London's memory and doing something for these good kids that just need a little help.
It's so incredible you guys continue to give back, and I'm just honored to be able to know London and get to know her even better today and to introduce her to other parents. And because, like I said, she does matter still. Her story matters. And it's going to influence families to make safer choices. And so I just am so appreciative, Charay, for your strength to do this. It's like there's no way to describe what you've went through, describe the devastation that you've gone through, and that you are able to sit here and tell this story to help other families you're like a hero in my mind. So thank you, Charay.
Thank you. I'd scream it to the world if I could.
We'll get it out to the world. We'll do that for you.